Good morning. Carson Olinger here with Capital City Equity Group. Today is the 28th of February, 2022. It is, 10 o'clock? I appreciate you guys joining us here on the Georgia Super Group meeting here on the REI USA platform. Just a quick introduction. My name is Carson Olinger. I am CEO of Capital City Equity Group here in the Atlanta metro area. We are a real estate investment company. We buy homes, we fix homes, we flip homes, we hold homes for investment purposes for long-term cash flow. We acquire mobile home parks. We pretty much buy and sell anything to do with real estate. Not so much in the commercial side, but multifamily, storage units, boat and RV storage, mobile home parks, apartment buildings, duplexes, triplexes, quads, single family homes. That's kind of our niche. We use private capital to fund all of our deals. So we're always looking for private equity partners that want to partner with us and invest their capital and get better than market rate returns on their money in secured positions. Once again, my name is Carson Olinger. My number is 678-478-2230. My email is carson@capcityeg.com. You can reach me or follow me, I should say, on Facebook at Carson Olinger. You can also follow me on my Capital City Equity Group page. If you'd like to be an investor and buy some of our wholesale deals that we sell from time to time, please feel free to join our buyers network. We have over 2,000 buyers in the Atlanta metro area and beyond. You can go to our website, which is www.capcityeg.com. It's www.capcityeg.com, and fill out the information there, and you'll be added on to our buyers group. So we'd appreciate that, and you can grow your network as well. Also, we have a YouTube page under Carson Olinger. You can subscribe to that. You'll see all kinds of up-to-date videos of all the flips that we're doing, investment tips, how-to tips on flips, all those types of things. So it can be a good resource for you. Obviously, you're here on the REI USA platform. So I already know that you're a savvy cat and you're looking to grow your business. We appreciate you being here. You have access to over 25, I think it is now, real estate professionals, mentors, coaches, if you will, that are here to help you. Our goal here on this platform is to help you grow your business in any way that you feel necessary. So we've got investors like myself that focus on fix and flips and buy and holds, but we also do other things. But we've got other guys and gals that do short-term rentals. We've got people that do BRRRR method. If you don't know what the BRRRR method is, check that out. How to find capital, how to flip homes, how you name it. Anything and everything, mobile home acquisitions, you name it, it's here on this platform so that you can grow for what, 40, 45 bucks a month. You've got access to all these people at your disposal. If you don't follow us live here, as most people do, they have their own schedules, they'll come back. This information is archived, I believe, for 90 days. So you can go back at your leisure and look at this one and others that are on the platform. So thank you for joining us. We usually have quite a bit of people in here, and they usually come in a little bit late, so I'm allowing time to do that. If we don't get many people that want to ask questions, then I'll just talk about real estate and where we are in the general area in Georgia, since that's what this is, and what to expect going forward. And if there's any questions that come up, feel free to raise your hand. As I see you come on, as we've got several people on already, I will unmute you, or allow you to speak, I should say. And so you'll be on mute, but just unmute yourself and ask the question, just like we were in a normal meeting in person. Okay, so I see some other people coming on board here. I'm going to give that just an opportunity to finish. I'm going to wet my whistle as I just got off the walk the flip, which was from 9 to 10, so my voice is a little bit raspy at this point. As people are coming on board, I'll just say this. This program here is for you. So I'm going to let you guys drive the questions that you want to ask of me, and how we here at REI USA can help you to grow your business. So if you got questions about how to get started, where to find capital, how much things cost, where do you find a deal, who do you buy deals from, what does money cost if I go borrow it, how long do flips take, what's a permit, what's the BRRRR method, how much is 2 + 2? Ask all those questions. We're here to help. I was asking all those questions. When I first started, I didn't do any flips either. I had never transacted a single deal. Okay. Everybody has to have their first deal. Okay. Everybody was right where you are now. We've all grown to some extent in different ways, but we're always learning. I can't stress that enough. We're always learning. Even though you're here to learn from me, I'm sure that I can learn from you. We have that ability to grow together because you have strengths and weaknesses, as do I. So I encourage you to grow your network, expand your sphere of influence surround yourself with people that are smarter than you, and you will grow your business. Listen, the Lord gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth. Try and listen more than you talk. I'm obviously in the driver's seat here. I'll be doing a little more talking today, but if you have questions, obviously I will listen. So to get started, this is the Georgia Super Group, hosted by myself, Carson Olinger. I am CEO and president of Capital City Equity Group here in Atlanta. My number is 678-478-2230, and feel free to reach out to me directly. My email, carson@capcityeg.com. So let's get started today. The real estate market is a little bit tough right now to get into. Deals I'm finding are harder to find that actually are good deals. Are there opportunities out there? Yes, there are opportunities, and I come across them all the time, but they're not good deals. So what's really the difference between an opportunity and a good deal? People use the term deal pretty loosely. Hey, I got a deal for you. Okay, is it really a deal? So what makes up a deal? That's one of the things that's critical to this business, okay? As anybody gets started, understanding what a deal really is important. And a lot of people say, well, I was driving around town and I saw this house and the grass was this high and there's a bunch of garbage out front and it was pretty nasty. And so I got this deal. I got the house under contract. Or I don't have it under contract, but I got a deal. Well, you don't have a deal until you've got it under contract, first of all. And secondly, it's not a deal unless it actually makes financial sense. So what does that look like? So if you're driving around and you see a property that's all grown up, that's a potential opportunity, okay? So now how do you find out if it's actually a deal? If you're interested in that property, well, you need to do some research. You need to find out who owns that property, okay? And then you need to contact that person. Well, how do you contact this person? Well, mail them a letter. Skip trace them, find out what their phone number is. There's ways to do that. Some of that costs a little bit more than others. I send letters out to a lot of people when I started out like this, okay? Later on, as I got a group of leads, 150, 200, 300 leads, I would pay to skip trace them. Skip tracing is when you can give the names and addresses of all of these potential opportunities to somebody electronically, and they can go through and provide you with phone numbers. And they might be 5 to 10 phone numbers per person because they've been associated with that person at one point or another in their life. And so now you've got to call, these 4, 5, 6, 7 different phone numbers for John Smith to find out if that's the John Smith you need to talk to on that property. And then you figure out what his phone number is. So that's one way of doing it. Now, let's say you contacted John Smith and John says, yeah, I do own that property. I am willing to sell that property. Now your potential opportunity is turned into an opportunity. It's not a deal yet. So there's a distinction. The opportunity is he's allowing you potentially to make an offer on his house. Okay. So now how do you make that offer? What do you think you need to offer on that property and how do you do it? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. Okay. Making that offer so you can create a deal, right? What does that look like? Well, in real estate, everything's about money. The deal is dictated by the money. There's a term we use, and it's applicable all the time. You make your money in real estate when you buy the property. People say, wait a minute, you don't make money when you buy things. Well, in this case, you do. Why? Because that's your initial investment. That's your starting point. So if I buy the property for 100 and I fix it up and put 50,000 in it and I sell it for 200, I made $50,000. Okay. So now, because the rehab, which is going to be stagnant, it's going to be a fixed animal, I can't negotiate the rehab. It is what it is to some degree. Okay, I can do a rental rehab versus a retail rehab. There's a little bit of a difference there, but the rehab is going to be basically the same any way you cut it. What's negotiable is the acquisition price. So if I have a $50,000 rehab and the most I'm going to get for this house is $200,000, I can't buy it for 150 and put 50 in it because I'm not making any money. I got to buy the house cheap enough to where I can make money. You make your money when you buy the house. Why? Because you have to negotiate to a point that makes sense financially for you to work your equation forward to make money, because you need to know several things. So what is it you need to know? First and foremost, you need to know what the ARV is. What is ARV? When I was in these classes, question, what's ARV? I don't know what ARV is. Sounds like a silly question, but I didn't know. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. For those that don't, ARV is after rehab value. What is that house worth after we fix it up? Okay, so how do we determine that? We determine that through comps, comparable properties, comps, comparables in the local area. So we don't want to go more than a mile to 2 miles out, but I'm not going to compare a 10-bedroom house to a 2-bedroom house. That's not comparable. I'm looking at a 3-bedroom home and I'm trying to find other 3-bedroom homes with similar bathrooms. So maybe a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. I want to look at other 3-bedroom, 2-baths as close to that general area as I can. What have they sold for? Not what they're listed for, what they sold for. The transaction has been completed. Zillow and Redfin are not comps. They are not comps. Let me tell you this. Redfin and Zillow are not comps. Do not use those as a proper comparative analysis. If you do, you will be wrong. And if you do, you will lose credibility with other investors when you tell them that the comp on Zillow was this. They're going to dismiss you as someone that doesn't know what they're talking about. Now, can you use Zillow and Redfin as a guide? Yes, you can. But don't use that as your definitive number, I should say. So how do you do that? Well, you need to find out what houses actually sold for. So pull up the tax records of the houses around there and see what they sold for and when. A house that sold in 1995 for $55,000 is not a comp for today. It needs to have been sold within the last 6 months, okay? And it needs to be within probably half mile to a mile to maybe 2 miles away. If you're out in the country, it's a little bit different. You could maybe go 3 to 5 miles, but you got to really dial down on the comps, the square footage, how far out in the city center you are, all those kind of things. So we'll focus right now on the houses in general metro areas of Atlanta or Augusta or Savannah or anywhere in the general areas of most outlying metro areas. Look at the comps. You want to do a half mile to a mile, maybe 2 miles at the top, at the far end, and then make sure your bedroom and bathroom combinations are the same, okay, or pretty doggone close. Hey, I got a 3-bedroom, 2.5. Well, a comp is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and you can make a slight adjustment for that half bath, okay? Square footage, you know, I might have a 3-bedroom, 2-bath that's 2,000 square feet. I'm not going to compare that to a 3-bedroom, 2-bath that's 1,200 square feet. I can use it, but I got to make an accommodation for the additional square footage that I have. It's worth more, right? Garage versus no garage, okay? Is it on a cul-de-sac or is it on a major highway? Well, you'll hear terminology like a double yellow line. Is it on a double yellow line? If it's on a double yellow line, that's a pretty dangerous street. That means it's 35, 45 miles an hour. And it is not something you want to be dealing with typically in a direct comparative analysis. Why? Because you've got mama who wants to put her kid out front to play, and there's 45-mile-an-hour cars going by. Can you still use it? Yes, but you got to downplay it a little bit because it's not as attractive. Okay. Double yellow lines usually constitute higher traffic speeds. Okay. Is it in a subdivision? Is it on an HOA? What's the acreage? 2 acres versus a quarter acre. Those are all things to take into consideration. So figure out what your ARV is. If you can't determine that on yourself, reach out to a real estate agent. Maybe you know somebody that can help you pull actual comps off the MLS or the FMLS. That's what I do. And that helps me immensely. Okay. Now, once you understand what the comps are, let's just say for our sake of argument, it's $200,000. That's the ARV. So basically what that means is I'm going to fix this house up. I'm going to put however much money I have into it, but the most I can realistically sell this house for is about 200. I'm not going to get $400,000 because I did granite and the other guy did laminate. It's not going to work that way. No one's going to buy your house for 400,000 when the houses around it are 200. It's not going to happen. You might get 210, but look at what the average is. Be conservative. Don't stretch that number. Oh man, I'm going to put really pretty finishes in it. I'm going to get 2.25. Be conservative. I might get 2.25, but let's plan for 200. Everything else is upside. Be conservative. If I get 200 and I'm still profitable, I'll be even more profitable at 225. But if I plan on getting 225 and I don't, now I'm less profitable than what I thought. And now maybe my numbers are all screwed up. Okay. So in this case, $200,000 is our ARV. And this is the important math that you need to know. So be writing this down. There's a mathematical equation I'm going to give you in a minute. It's going to be critical to your success in this business. Okay. ARV is 200. So now we need to determine, well, what kind of work needs to be done in this house? The grass has grown up, the roof's fallen in, there's all this stuff that needs to go on. I'm a new investor. I don't know what this stuff costs. How do I figure all this out? Bring somebody in like me or a friend of yours in the industry that knows how to cost these things out. That's what I did. I brought people in that were smarter than me. I tried to give my best estimate of what I thought it would be, and then I asked them to tell me what they thought it would be on the rehab, and the numbers were completely different. And it made me think, well, what am I not seeing? Because there are a lot of things I didn't see that they did because they have more experience. They also were able to tell me, well, this costs this much, and you're telling me, hey, this is a $5,000, piece of the equation. You're only spending $1,000 in your model. Okay, well, I need to up my game because I didn't know my costs. So find out what those are. If you know what that is, great. Maybe you can get that out. All you're trying to do right now is get generalized buckets. I don't need to know that the bathroom is going to be $2,456. I need to know that that bathroom is going to be $4,000. Okay, I'm a little bit high. I can always go down. If I budget for 4,000 and only spend 2,600, I'm okay, right? But I want to make sure I'm conservative and I have a bucket for that. I got a bucket for flooring. I got a bucket for paint. I got a bucket for the roof. I got a bucket for electrical. I got a bucket for appliances. Okay. General bucket. Be a little bit higher than you need to because you can always come down and still make more money. All right. So now you've looked at this deal and you go, okay, I've got a $50,000 rehab. So now I know my ARV is 200,000 and I know my rehab is $50,000. Okay. So 200,000 minus 50 is $150,000. So if I offer him 150, because that's probably what he's going to want, and I put 50 in it, how do I make any money? I'll actually wind up losing money is what I'll do. So I do not want to offer 150,000. But if you tell him, hey, it's a $50,000 rehab and your house is worth 200, he's going to go, oh, well, then give me 150. Why? Because he thinks you're going to live in the house. And that's how his perspective is. Well, if I was buying the house, I'd get it for 150. I'd put 50 in it and I'd be all in and it'd be good because I don't need to make a profit. I'm going to be living in the house. You're not living in the house. You need to sell that house and still make money. Okay. So you need to get it cheaper than the 150,000 to make your profit, your holding costs, your acquisition costs, and your selling costs. All those things need to be built in. So how do you determine what that is? So here's the mathematical equation that you need to use, okay? Some people vary it just a little bit, but I, in a general metro area, will take ARV, in this case, $200,000. I subtract 25%, okay? Some people will subtract 30%. You'll hear it inverted in a different way. You'll also hear ARV times 75% or 0.75, or ARV times 70%, right? That's your 25 and your 30. Either way, same difference. But I do ARV, subtract 25%. So what is that? In this case, 200,000 minus 25% is 150, right? That's the math. Now I've got my rehab. What do we identify our rehab at? $50,000, right? So now ARV minus 25% is 150. Subtract my rehab of 50, and now I'm at what? $100,000. That's my offer price. Now, for you wholesalers out there, if you're wholesaling the property, you're doing what? You're getting it under contract, marketing it up just a little bit so you can make some money, because all you're doing is moving paper. Is that valuable? Yes, it's valuable, but it's not truly investing, but it's part of what we do here. Okay. So you need now to get that house below 100. Why? Because me as an investor, I'm just did my math. 200 minus 25% minus 50. I want to buy it at 100. If you as a wholesaler get it at $100,000 and you mark it up to 110 to sell to me, I'm like, I want it at 100. Well, I can't do that. My contract's at 100. So now you as a wholesaler need to get it at $90,000. Carson, wait a minute. Who's going to sell their $200,000 house for $90,000? That's like 48%, 45% of ARV. Yes, that's what you need to buy. That's where you need to buy. Well, you'll never find deals like that. That's not true. You will find deals like that. The problem is you're not focusing in the right area. You see a distressed property. That doesn't mean the seller is distressed. That just means the property wasn't taken care of. What you have to focus on is the motivation of the seller. Why would that seller want to sell you the house at 45% of market value? Because they're in a position where they don't have a lot of choices. Are you taking advantage of them? No, you're not. But there's not many people who are going to buy that house as it sits because they can't afford to do what you can do. So when we buy houses, we're buying them at 45 to 50 cents on the dollar. And you have to do that in order to make money. Now, what you're going to see around you is all kinds of people buying houses literally at 70% of the value, buying them and then rehabbing them and then making itty bitty thin margins. Well, Carson, let's back up a second. Wait a second. You took the ARV of 200 and you subtracted 25%. That's $50,000. Where did that go? What is that? You just don't wipe that out. That has to make some sense. Right, let's talk about what that is. I mentioned the 4 things already to you. I'll mention them again. Acquisition cost. So when you buy the house, you have closing costs, right? You have taxes you have to pay. You have insurance you have to pay to turn the power on. You have closing costs to the attorney. So acquisition costs. On a $200,000 house, let's just say, for the sake of argument, it's $3,000 in closing costs, maybe $2,500. We'll call it $2,500. Okay. So write that down. $2,500 in closing costs. Now you're going to hold the property, right? So what are your holding costs? What do those look like? Well, that's the interest you're paying on the money you borrowed. Okay. That's also the power, the insurance, the water, the gas, and all the things that you've got to maintain while you're flipping the house. Okay. Well, Carson, I'm using my own money. I don't have holding costs on the money. Okay, fine. Still use the 25%. Well, I lose deals if I do that. Well, then tweak it yourself. I have holding costs, so I have to pull that interest out. I may have $4,000 in interest I'm paying on the money that I'm holding on to. Okay, so acquisition costs, holding costs. Okay, then I've got selling costs. What are my selling costs? My selling costs are my real estate agent that I'm going to use, okay, and staging costs potentially that I might have, and time on the market. Okay, time is going to be your biggest enemy. So I mentioned four. I'm trying to think what the other one was. We had acquisition, holding, selling costs. Oh, the most important one, your profit. You need to make money, right? So those are the four things that make up the 25%. So let's look at our model of 200,000. Okay, 200,000 right out of the gate. I'm going to use a calculator because I'm not that good at math in my head. All right. Let's say I've got to use an agent. What does an agent get? 3% for the buyer, 3% for your agent as well. So 200,000. We subtract 6%. Okay, that's $12,000 that goes to the agents when we sell it. Right. We're at 188 right now. When we bought it, we had to pay $2,500 just to close the deal. So let's take another 2,500 off of that 188. That leaves us at 185.5. Okay. So now we borrowed money. So I had to borrow $100,000 to buy the house and another $50,000 to rehab it. So I borrowed $150,000. So keep in mind, we are at, where's my pen? I had a pen. Here's my pen. We were at 185.5. I'm going to write that down. All right. So 185.5, just so I don't forget. And the pen I have is, oh, here's my pen. 185.5. I'm going to come back to that in just a second. All right. So I borrowed $150,000 and I borrowed it at 10%. So 150,000 times 10% is $15,000 on an annualized basis. Divide that by 12, which is 12 months in a year. Now I'm paying $1,250 a month in interest. If I hold the property for 4 months, because keep in mind, it may take you 3 months to flip it. But once you get a contract, it may take 30 days for that contract to close. You're still paying the fees. So $1,250 times 4. So I've got $5,000 in interest that I'm paying. Okay. I've got all those things. So now 185.5 was our number minus my holding cost of $5,000. Okay. Now I've still got power, water, insurance, and all that stuff. Over the course of 4 months, let's just call that $1,000 minus $1,000. So now I've got a net after I sell my house of 179, right? We bought it for 100. I put 50 in it. So now let's subtract 150 from 179. That gives me $29,000 in profit, pure profit. Okay. Everybody's paid. I paid the interest to this guy. I paid the closing costs over here. I paid the insurance company, the power company, paid my agent. Everybody's made money. The house is sold. I now got $29,000. Okay. So what does that look like? I had an initial investment of 150. I made 29. So let's figure out what that is. What's my rate of return? So 29,000 divided by 150 is a 19% return. Okay. So think about that. We took 25% out of the equation, right? So 25% and 19% of that is my profit. So what does that leave? 6%, right? So how much did we spend all together? We spent 200,000 on the resale minus 6%. Oops, did my math wrong. 200,000 minus 6% is $12,000. Okay, 12,000 times, oops, plus 5,000 in holding costs, plus $2,500 in closing costs, plus $1,000 in holding costs. So we spent $20,500 just in holding it, right? So our 19% is relative to the 200,000, but that's our profit on what we bought. So now if you look at the 20,500 as the bigger picture of the 200,000 rehab, we are sitting at basically 20% of the 200,000 or 10% of the 200,000. So another 15% is what you made off the 200. So the 29,000, let me put this in perspective. You just spent 20,500 on all your costs and 29,000 in profit. So 29 plus 20 is $49,500. Well, what was that difference between 200 and 150? That was our 25%, right? 200 minus 25% is 150. We just spent $49,500 on our profit, which is 19,000 or 29,000, and our cost structure of 20,500. There's your $50,000 right there. So that 25% captures everything you need to do. All right. That's the model you need to use. Okay. I'm going to open this up to questions. If there's anybody that has any questions on it, that's what we're talking about today. That's the business model that you need to know in order to be successful and find out what an actual deal is. Okay. That's a deal. Yes, it means buying the house at 50% of ARV. Yes, it's hard to do. But yes, you will make money. Let's look at this the other way around. There are people selling you deals at 70%. Hey, I've got this house that's worth 200. Okay, 200,000. They're going to sell it to you at 140. Okay, 140. That seems like a good deal. I'm getting $140,000 for a $200,000 house. Well, you still got to put $50,000 in it. Okay, well, I got to make 10. I'll make 10,000. 140 and 50 is 10. Oh, wait a minute. We have to sell it. We already talked about what 200 is. That's $12,000. You're already $2,000 behind. Oh, we got to close it. It's $2,500. Now we're $4,500 behind. Oh, I got holding costs of $5,000. So now we're $10,000 in the hole. So now instead of making $29,000, I'm losing close to $12,000 to $15,000, losing money. I don't want to do that. Oh, Carson, it's not $50,000. I can do it for 30. All right, fine. Do it for 30. Okay. So now you just bought that house at 140. You're putting 30 in it. That's 170. Should work. All right, let's look at that. 200,000 using our same model, selling it for 6%, 188. Okay. Minus your $2,500 closing costs, minus $1,000 in holding costs. Okay. Now minus your $140,000 acquisition, and then subtract $30,000 for your rehab. You made $14,500. Yes, you made money. Is it profitable? Yes, it is. Okay. So now you spent 170 and you made 14.5. So your profit model is 8%. If one thing goes wrong, you're going to probably wind up losing money. And you just did a $30,000 rehab on a house that you're skinny but getting by on a skinny budget. Is it really going to sell for 200? Because it might not be the best looking house on the market. But Carson, I can't find deals at 50% off. I got to take these deals at 70. Well, no, you don't. You probably could if you just changed up your marketing and looked at motivated sellers versus opportunities. That's how you do it. You wind up walking past some of these deals. Why? Because the risk is too high at that level of profit. If one thing goes wrong, you've got an extremely high propensity to lose money. I don't do that. I never lose money on real estate deals, ever. Why? Because I don't take thin deals. I take good fat deals. Does that mean I have to wait a little while? Sometimes I do. Okay, but that's just what you have to do in this business. If you want to be credible and you want to make money, you have to be patient. You can't jump at things because you're hungry. Sometimes you got to let the stomach growl for a little bit, then find something that's really worth taking. Okay, but that also means focusing in the right areas. And that's what we'll talk about next time. Okay, so thanks for joining us. We'll be back here again. I know this was a short one. Didn't have any questions pop up on this meeting, but that's the strategy. Please join us next month for the Georgia super group here, where we'll get into a little bit more in depth of deal analysis and how to take down deals. Once again, this is Carson Olinger, Capital City Equity Group. Thank you for joining us. My number is 678-478-2230. My email is carson@capcityeg.com. Take care.